Thanks, Tim. Good to be back. So the villain of being unashamed is fear. So with fear, it's very common, and God knows this, and it's the most common commandment is to not be afraid, because he recognises in a lot of us if we're being unashamed, and even if we are being ashamed of the gospel, there is still fear involved in that for a lot of us. So yeah, I think the biggest thing for us is definitely recognising the fear and just going for it anyway, because that brings growth, and it's definitely a muscle that we need to use a lot to build up strength. So Sophie, how do we recognise fear and deal with that in our lives?
So for a really long time, I was really afraid at school, just because it was not a place that was easy for me. There aren't very many Christians at my school. It was very, at some points, anti-Christian. So I learned a lot of ways, kind of over the years and through really big growth spurts, of how to kind of deal with that. And so I would kind of do this thing where I'd write little things on my hands, where I'd write notes to myself of saying who God says I was, and whether it was from prophecies that people had given me or what God said in the Bible. I would read stuff to myself from the Bible about what God said in the mirror before I went to school. I would read the Bible in the morning so I wouldn't be afraid. And then now, so in sixth form, I know it won't apply to everyone, but I'll wear deliberately really bright colours. I've got a really cool tie-dye t-shirt that is really bright that I'll wear to school that isn't normal for my sixth form. Or I'll wear tops that say in bright yellow, there is something more from that really cool brand. As a physical reminder of who God says I am. And that we're not supposed to conform to fear. And it can be really hard to go against the tide sometimes, but it's a matter of growth. So it can be really hard at first. Just the daily intentional reminders of who God says you are, because it can be really easy to go, oh, I'll remember that, but then you don't, and it slips your mind really quick, and that can be really hard when something unexpected happens where you weren't expecting someone to push against you. So the daily intentional reminders, even if it doesn't feel like much in the small bits in the long term, it feels like it just grounds you in who you are, and so you know who you are and whose you are. So
I think also if you are afraid, you don't necessarily need to jump into something converting your friends to Christian. You can just say little things like planting seeds. You never know, it might grow a whole tree in the future in their lives. It might blossom, and you just don't know the effects that you can make, even by just being kind to someone, just showing them Jesus basically. Can make all the difference sometimes in people's lives. So just give it a go, and just trust in God that he'll protect you. So the points to think about. What seeds could you plant in some people's lives, even the smallest thing? When have you been afraid in your life?
And what practical things could you do to remind yourself that you are loved and what Jesus says about you?